start to put tension on my string drawback, I was like, okay, I'm gonna smoke.
It's him. You can look at the horns when he's dead. I'm in the zone. Let the arrow go is perfect.
So when they lose their front shoulders, you start, that's how you know they're smoking.
Went about 5-10 more yards. He probably went 20 yards total. Tipped them. We tried getting back up. I saw him pull up.
We rushed 14 rods that night. We got like 156 and something like that. And then the next day we came up to 163 even.
You're listening to the White Cat Outdoors podcast, bringing you to the table where we talk about the outdoors.
That was pretty good, Nick. It's almost like you knew what was about to be said there.
Weird, yeah. Like I made it with Sam.
Yeah. What's going on, guys? This is the White Cat Outdoors podcast, and we've made it all the way to episode 62 today. And we had a listener, I forgot already.
Flying
Leap Games. I couldn't remember if it was Fly or Flying. Flying Leap Games is who it was. They sent us, they commented on a post and said that they wanted to hear just
craziest stories.
Yeah, our craziest hunting stories, scary, crazy hunting stories. And we decided to put a little bit of a twist on it just to have some fun and do a little giveaway for you guys. And we're going to do 2 truths and a lie. 2 of us are going to tell a true crazy hunting story, and one of us is going to lie to you. Total bullshit the whole time.
Credibility is going to be shot tonight.
Yeah, big time shot. And you guys get to guess who's telling the truths and who's telling the lie.
And if you guess correctly, what could possibly happen?
Well, so I'll break it down for you, Tom, in case you want to submit. Sunday we release a podcast. Every Sunday. Monday we make a post on social media about it. What we're going to do here is all you got to do is share our post with the podcast being released on Monday, tag 3 of your buddies in the post, and then you're going to DM us who you think told the lie. And if you're right, your name goes into a hat. And then we're going to draw, maybe at the end of the week, we're going to take a drawing, and the winner is going to get a free White Cat t-shirt shipped right to your door. Pretty wild.
Very wild. Not as wild as these stories, though.
Yeah, that's what's crazy about these, because everybody, I hope everybody that listens has had the opportunity to experience deer camp. Yeah. And if you've been to deer camp enough, there's always somebody that likes to embellish a little bit, stretch the truth on some stories. Yeah. So tonight we are going to have some embellishing going on. There's 2 stories that are no bullshit, 100% true. And then we're going to just throw one in there. And if you can guess it right, you could be getting a free t-shirt. Could be a Top Pin Action t-shirt, could be a White Cat OG, whatever you want.
We get to choose. I don't know.
I'll let them choose.
Okay, you get to choose.
Top Pin Action, White Cat OG.
So like Nick said, when you see the post on the gram, share it, tag 3 of your buddies, and then DM us the right answer.
Yeah, just like that.
I'm sure, are you going to outline that in the post?
Oh, yeah, we'll outline it in the post, and of course you got to be following us, but that's easy. Just a click.
And try and tag 3 people that aren't following us.
Yeah. Tell 3 people that don't know about us. It'd be wild.
Yeah. Grow the following. Get us some more listeners, guys.
Yeah, bring them to the table.
Well, we talk about the outdoors.
Wow, good.
That was seamless. That was perfect.
Wow. We're just in syncrasy here.
Perfect syncrasy.
So
that is a word.
It is. Wow. Thanks, Tom.
Yeah, you bet.
Usually shapes, but apparently he's a dictionary.
Thesaurus.
A thesaurus. It's even better than a dictionary. So Frank, do you want to kick us off here with the first crazy hunting story?
Yeah. Mine's probably the truth. Or is it a lie?
We don't know.
That.
We
is
know.
One of the mysteries.
You don't know.
Cave's 100 years old and has 1,000 mysteries.
So there I was.
1,000 years. Go ahead.
There I was, up in Alaska, and I was still in the learning process of just running the river and the whole guiding stuff. I was learning from my dad and Brad and just learning the ropes basically. And I had just started running a jet boat on the river, and it's honestly that's like the hardest part of guiding up there is just running boats. And since they're jet boats, if you get like anything into the jet, you have no power.
Now, what do you like a jet boat? Is that like a mini jet engine? Is that what you're?
No. It's
okay.
Instead of a propeller that pushes you,
it's like a jet turbine that like forces.
Yeah,
air
it almost looks like
water.
you have a turbo on the bottom,
okay. I
and
got
it
you.
sucks water up through the bottom and then pushes it out of the top. And if you get anything in the bottom called the foot, like seaweed or rocks, you don't have any power.
Fish,
Yeah, a fish,
A beaver.
moose knuckle.
any of the above, no power. So you always have to make sure and you can run them in super, super shallow water. So it's not like inconceivable to get rocks and shit in them. And the one camp where you come out of this little side slough, it's slack water. As soon as you get out to the end of that into the river where the water's freaking ripping, there's a bunch of weeds right at the mouth. So there's like one tiny little chute where you can get through without fouling up your foot and losing power. And it goes right into a bend right after that. And so anywhere there's a bend in the river, it's always eroding away at the side, and they're called sweepers is what everyone calls them. The trees start to lean over and they get, parallel with the water. So right outside of the camp there, it's going right into this bend, and there's trees all over the place laying down into the water. And so I'm coming out. My dad goes out ahead of me, and we're going upriver to go to the next camp. And as I'm coming out, I missed the chute by about that much. And
For those of you listening, his fingers were very close.
yeah, so I didn't miss it by much, but I did miss it. Sucked up some grass into the foot. And so I had no
Did you
power.
lose power?
You nailed it, Nick. Have you run one of these before?
All the time. I've been guiding Alaska for 20 years. Could be 4 lies.
So I had enough head of steam going to drift.
Is it a jet boat or a steamboat, Frank?
To drift out into the main river. So as soon as I get out there, I'm at the mercy of the current because I got nothing on my motor. And I start drifting towards those sweepers, and I was like, oh shit, and that's like the biggest thing that everyone says is if you go into the sweepers, you're done. You're rolling your boat, like that. It's a bad day. No, nothing good happens. So I'm like starting to go towards these sweepers, and I'm like in panic mode. I can see my dad like looking back to make sure I made it out, and he clearly sees I didn't make it. So he starts whipping around, and then I like go towards the sweepers, and I'm like trying to like push myself away, and there's no paddling your way out of it, because there's paddles, but when the current's ripping 8 miles an hour, you're not paddling away from anything.
Gotcha.
So I'm trying to like get towards the sweepers and push myself away from it, and it wasn't happening. And the lip of the boat, the edge of the boat catches the one branch, and it starts to tip it. Like
Oh boy.
It was going. I was like full panic, and I start taking water, and immediately I like push down really hard on that side, and I get myself like wedged underneath the tree, and I'm like holding the tree in the boat, and I'm trying to balance it because I took on a lot of water. Like there was not much.
How many buckets full?
It's tough to say how many buckets, but it was a lot. Like I
don't know.
I
Sounds
probably
kinda
had like
fishy.
an inch and a half of the haul left before it was completely swamped.
Yikes.
And I'm under this tree just balancing it, like holding my feet up on the tree and hands on the side of the boat, just trying to balance and hold myself up. And so I can't do anything to get myself out from under this tree. I'm just stuck. And I lost sight of my dad because I wasn't paying attention. And then all of a sudden I see him running down the bank, and he's like right on the edge, right by where this tree goes into the bank. And I was like, do not get in this boat. Like, if you step into this boat at all, it's going to sink. Because there was nothing left clearing for the hull. Like, it was ready to sink. And as soon as we put any weight in, it was done.
I have one quick question. This might be stupid. Most boats that I've been on have a drain plug. Why
That
didn't
only
you just
works-
pull the plug out, let the water out?
You said it might be a stupid question, and it was.
It was a very stupid
It
question.
was a joke.
I know, Tom.
I know you can't pull the
What a-
drain plug
what
out
a-
when it's underwater.
What a jokester.
You can as long as you're moving.
Yeah, well.
I was not.
Anyway, continue. You're yelling at your dad.
Yeah. So he's like trying to assess the situation. Like, what are we going to do here to keep from sinking this boat and me friggin' drowning? And he's like, "You have your Leatherman?" I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "All right, give it to me."
Every good highwayman has one, right, Tom?
Exactly.
This is true.
And the tree that was leaning, it was probably 8 to 10 inch diameter pine tree. So it was a pretty healthy tree. And I was like, "What are you going to do with a Leatherman? Like, you sound dumb." And he's like, "Well, just sit tight." Because we didn't have a chainsaw.
Did he tell you to whittle sticks, pretty much? Like his.
As I'm balancing myself, I throw him my Leatherman. And he starts cutting on this tree. And I'm like, what is going on? And he's cutting and cutting and cutting, and it starts to like tip. And when it like started to take some weight off it, because I was underneath it, it actually like let the boat lift up in the water a little bit. So I had a little bit of clearance. So he jumped into the boat and was like balancing it. And he's like, "All right, make sure the foot's clean. So as soon as this drops, you got to hammer dick it and go, because if you just sit in the current here with this tree in it, we're going to sink." So he's like just one little stroke at a time, like, "Okay, it's about to fall. It's about to fall. It's about to fall." And like it was right there. He's like, "All right, start the boat." So I fired it up, and he's just still barely touching it, and finally it falls, and I just slam it, and then he almost falls out when I hammered the gas, and I pulled back into where the camp was, into all that grass, and just slammed into the bank, and almost sunk it there too, but it was shallow there, so it wouldn't really mattered. And like it was like in the moment, like I was pretty cool. Like I knew it was a really shitty situation. Like this could be a really, really bad day. Like this is how like the majority of people that die up there, that's how they get tangled up in sweepers, sink their boat, and that's how almost everyone dies up there. That and plane crashes. So in the moment, like I wasn't really
Didn't
thinking.
realize shop vacs were that big of a problem up there.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. So
Get it? Because it's a sweeper.
yeah, I get it.
I can tell jokes too, Tom.
So yeah, I was just like, afterwards, I was like, wow, that was kind of a shit situation. My dad's like, "Yeah, my heart was pumping pretty good for a while." I was like, honestly, like my heart rate didn't really go up, but like it's pounding now that like we're out of it. Like in the moment, I was just like, okay, this sucks. Let's figure out how to get the hell out of here. And looking back, it was like, damn, like that was pretty scary. But so that's probably like the scariest thing, like the closest I have ever come to a legit disaster in the woods or while hunting. And yeah, it was I think it wasn't my first year in Alaska, but it was my first year in like a moose camp learning how to guide.
Yeah. Sounds kind of fishy. Don't know if I believe it, to be honest.
It's pretty believable. It could happen.
Well, I guess we'll leave that up to the listeners.
I guess
to
we
believe.
will.
So,
Who, Nick?
Yeah,
you're the next one.
yeah, I've got a for sure truth story coming right
Wink,
down
wink.
the pipe. Yeah. So, there I was. I'm just kidding. Frank, can I get a beer real quick while you're down there?
Yeah, dude.
He's not actually doing it. So, my story takes place a few years back, rifle season. Me and Tom were on, I think, like a long weekend excursion up to the farm and going doing a little rifle hunting. And, we've been up there for a few days, and I was headed to a certain stand we call the Gully Stand. And the way the Gully Stand goes...
It's out in the middle of a field.
It's actually really close to a gully.
Who'd have thought?
But basically, you drive to like the other side of the farm, park down by this like great vineyard, and you walk up the trail. You go down through the woods, and then there's like a cut in the in the gully that comes back up, and that's where that Gully Stand's at. So I'm walking up this trail, and actually this is first year my dad came home shortly after he went to Alaska, and he had used these, what they're called brute straps, which is like a sling for your gun that's like rubber.
Oh, those rubber ones.
Yeah, and it really locks
They're sweet.
to your shoulder. It's really, really nice for a lot of things. Also not so nice in other situations.
One other aspect.
Yeah. So I had one of those on. I had my 7mm 8 strapped real tight to my shoulder, and
Yeah,
this is
those things, even when they're loose, that rubber just grips your clothes so
Exactly,
well.
yeah,
You
so it's
can
really
try to
nice.
make it fall off, and it holds on tight.
Yeah, it's really nice. So I'm hiking up the trail, and it's great for. I mean, your hands are free. You kind of just do your thing, walking in. I was going in probably like afternoon ish, and a little bit of snow, but not much. I'm going in for my afternoon hunt, and I get down the trail, and it takes like a 90-degree bend before you cut up. There's probably 60, 70 yards up there. There's a tree down in the bottom of the gully that has the lock on that you're going to. And just as I turn the corner, there is, at first just saw an animal, very quickly realized it was a bobcat. Within,
Pretty sweet.
yeah, really cool for about a split second. When I turned the corner, this bobcat was about 10 yards max away from me.
Damn.
And within the blink of an eye, it was now 0 yards in front of me. For whatever reason, this bobcat freaked, and it came straight at me, and like from probably, I would say, at least 5 foot out, just launched itself right at me. So I quickly go to defend myself, try and get my gun off my shoulder, and it locks right
Those
on
brute straps.
I couldn't get my strap off, so now I'm starting to panic. Bobcat locks onto my legs, and I'm like shaking it with like my knee, trying to knee this thing off of me. And finally, like I got my gun like wrestled that's like in front of me, and I finally like used like the butt of my gun. Sorry, I keep moving away from the mic. I'm gesturing.
Really getting into the story.
Yeah. So like this bobcat like locks onto my pants, starts like clawing up and everything. And I shake it off, and as soon as it like hits the ground, I drop my gun to my hip and shot, just like trying to scare this thing. And bobcat takes off, running into the weeds out there. I'm like, holy shit. Like,
What the hell was
yeah,
that?
exactly. I was like, what just happened? Like, first off, we've only ever seen, I personally never seen a bobcat on that property. There was rumor of a bobcat being up there. There was a consensus amongst most of us that there was no bobcats up there. Mm-hmm. So for me to see the bobcat at first was insane.
Oh, there he is.
And-
Oh, shit, there he is.
So, I looked a little bit, never found the bobcat or anything. Like I don't know. Like it wasn't like I killed him or anything. It was literally he attacked me. I was saving myself. I had no idea what
Yeah.
I was getting into. But nonetheless, I was like, that was crazy. So I actually just finished my walk to my stand, climbed up like nothing else had happened. And I actually Snapchatted Frank and Tom pictures of my pants. And they were all, I mean, shredded, like looked ridiculous. And Frank thought I went through a pricker bush.
Yeah.
Because I actually commented that it was from a bobcat attack. And Frank thought I was joking.
Haha, good one.
Yeah. And Tom, same thing, thought I was joking. And the other guy we were up at camp with also thought I was joking. And I was like, well, screw you guys. Like, you don't have to believe it. It's whatever. So I finished my hunt, didn't see shit. I get back to camp, and they're like, okay, let's hear this story. I'm like, first off, let's go take a look at my pants. So I bring my hunting pants in, and there's paw prints, like muddy paw prints all over my pants. There's like claw marks through, like, I mean, you can see right off the prints, like it's clear as day. There was a feline creature. And then, so now it's like, oh shit. Okay, so there actually was a bobcat. And now they're panicking, thinking like, did you get scratched? Like, what's going on? I'm like, no, like I checked I got no scratches, nothing like that. Start looking over my gun.
Need new pants, though.
Yeah. Got to pull chocolate pudding in my underpants. No, so then we start looking at my gun, and I've got like a bunch of bobcat fur like jammed like beside the scope and like where the action for the bolt is. Like, because it had literally like locked on right there. So it was like, at that point, they're like, oh.
Maybe you saw a bobcat.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, no shit. So that was what able to confirm that, like, yes, there was a bobcat. Like, he was in contact with me. It was insane. Could have gone. I was astonished because, like, I looked it up. Bobcats don't attack people.
Yeah,
And when I tell people, they're like,
that didn't happen.
it didn't happen. I was like, it did. I'm telling you right now, it did. And the only people, I mean, I know, people believe it. People don't believe it. Listeners may think it's a lie. I don't know.
Tough to say.
But it was wild, and I haven't been attacked by a bobcat since. I have not seen a bobcat since while hunting. So
He got the word out not to mess with that guy.
yeah, basically it was white cat versus bobcat, and the white cat won.
Every time.
Yeah, so that's the wrap up of that story. I mean, like I said, it's pretty short, but I mean, it literally
Sounds like a lie. Could be a lie.
I don't know if I'm believing it.
It's tough to say.
I guess the listeners will have to decide on their own if that was true or not.
Yeah.
It was true though.
We've got one story left.
Is
And
it
it's
the truth?
mine.
Is it a lie?
That's for you to decide. But I think Nick knows where I'm going with this story. This is the turkey hunting in the middle of the state. I don't know. This was
Oh yeah.
3 years ago. I don't know. I'm bad with
3-4
time.
years ago.
3-4 years
yeah.
ago. Fresh driver's license on our belt. So if that's any indication, more like 4 or 5
I was
years.
gonna say,
I
that's
guess
more than 3.
Yeah. Anyway, me and Nick, we get this bug to hunt new territory. We've been turkey hunting behind my grandpa's house since we were. I know I was 10 when they started the mentor hunt, so Nick would have
You're
been.
like what, knee high to a grasshopper?
I was gonna say that.
Yeah. Anyway, so me and Nick, we're like, we got a fresh set of wheels. I think actually Nick had his license, and we were going on a turkey hunt. And there's a big hunk of game lands in the middle of the state, and that's good beer.
That was aggressive.
And me and Nick are gonna go hunt it. And so we wake up at like 2 a.m. and get in the rig and drive. It was like 2.5 hours to the spot we were turkey hunting. And Nick mapped out where we were gonna set up. And this entailed I think it was like a 2.5 mile walk back into the woods. To there was like,
You just start our
So
hunt.
you're gonna be getting in there late. for
we left
turkey.
at like 2 a.m.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we left really early.
and we got there at like 4:30. So it was.
We had plenty of time.
We had it all mapped out. Anyway, we take this several mile hike back into the woods, and there's like this field in the middle of the woods, and there's like a ravine right behind it. And Nick's like, this is where the birds are going to be. And
Mind you, we didn't ever do like any boots on the ground scouting. This is all just from a map.
Yeah.
and we set up here, and like a switch, we sit down, and it starts to rain. And it's not just like a light rain, it's coming down. And I don't know if we just didn't check the weather.
I'm sure we didn't check.
But
Most
yeah,
certain of it.
we're there, and we're getting soaked, and we can't hear anything. And
Good thing it was a short walk back to the truck.
yeah, well, we weren't going back to the truck. We were turkey hunting. And it's raining, and it's raining. And it sure did take its time getting light. And it finally gets light, and I think, it started to settle down a little bit with the rain, and we did hear one gobble, and that was about it for the morning hunt. So we're like, well, now what? We have no idea really where we're at. We're in the middle of the woods. We thought birds are going to come out to this field, and it didn't happen.
We were planning on being done by now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It looked really good on paper.
Of course.
So we decide we're going to hike up our boots, and we're going to go on this little walk. And we decide, birds, ravines, open fields. They're not in this open field. Let's walk along the edge of this ravine. And I'm terrible judging feet, but it's a big ravine, probably, 80, 90 feet down to the bottom.
We were in the stretch of the Allegheny Mountains, if that gives you any idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
deep.
Yeah, it's big. And I'm walking right along the edge, and Nick's right next to me walking. And we're walking every 100 yards, stop, call. And we're just not having any luck. So we actually found this little ditch and laid down in the ditch, took a little power snooze, and got recharged and got back after it. And it's, probably 10 o'clock at this point. So we're, I like I said, I'm bad at judging, but it was 2 miles to the spot, and then we'd walked for 2 hours calling and stopped.
It was I know by the end of it, like a 12-mile loop.
Yeah. So we did some walking.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, after we get charged up from our nap, we're back, boots on the ground, as my boss liked to say. And we're doing the same thing, walking and calling. Well, starts raining again, and I don't know why. I like to be right at the edge of the gully. And I'm walking and slip on some leaves and go down. And I'm not kidding you, it felt like I was falling for 20 minutes. It just like everything went into slow motion as I'm sliding down the edge of this ravine. And I mean, I can see the trees whizzing past my head, and I'm like,
How steep is it?
yeah.
Effing steep.
Yeah, it's you're going to have a hell of a time walking up. Like, you know those ravines?
I was at the top, like, it's also slow motion. Mm-hmm. Like,
just watching me race down to the bottom.
Yeah.
But you know, like those ravines when you're walking up them, you're like grabbing trees
Yeah.
and pulling yourself up. That's
Steeper than
that's
that.
this ravine.
Yeah.
And I'm going down. And I see these, like, I don't know how it happened, but I didn't hit a tree or I didn't hit a rock on my way down. All I remember is crashing into the bottom into this giant creek that's obviously at the bottom of the ravine and just getting absolutely soaked. And luckily, it's only like 2 or 3 feet deep. And it was raining and the current was going pretty good, but in 2 feet of water, I was able to get myself up, and I wasn't sucked away by the current or anything. But I'm sitting there soaked, and I look up, and Nick's just like ghost white. And
I'm trying to figure out how I got to get down there. Because like I don't know what happened on this trip. Like it happened in like slow motion. Didn't appear like he hit anything, but like I just watched him drop like
90 feet. Yeah.
And so I'm like Tom said, you have to like hold on to stuff to get down this thing. So I'm like panicked, like, okay, I got to slowly get my way down there.
So I'm watching Nick come down, and I'm trying to gather, like, what the hell just happened? How am I, like, I mean, I had brush burn and shit on my chest, but, like, I was like, how do I not have a broken bone or a broken leg? Like,
Well, that's what I was expecting, because I'm like, I've watched Tom take some tumbles down while we're skiing, and, you know, watched him shatter his collarbone, like, and I'm thinking, like,
He's fragile.
Well, I'm thinking there's got to be something broke. There's no way there's not. We are miles from the truck. Like, it was just every bad thing's going through my mind coming down this hill to Tom.
Yeah.
and Nick gets down there, and he's like, what happened? I'm like, I don't know what happened. I don't think anything's broken. I haven't really moved. I'm a little bit afraid to. And I stood up, and obviously, I mean, I'm sore. Like, not going to not be. And I stretching my arms, kicking my knees, and I'm like, everything's
we're
intact.
good.
I lifted my shirt up. I wasn't gouged. I just had some scuffs and everything. I'm like, I think we got lucky on this one.
Yeah.
And this is how I know how steep it was when I told you had to pull.
Because you had to go back
Yeah,
up.
we had to go back up.
Little
And
foreshadowing there.
yeah. So we get back up, and it's like 11 o'clock now, and I'm like, Nick, I'm done hunting. And he's like, yeah, well, we still have like 6 miles back to the truck.
Well, and a little tidbit of information. I like to throw that word in there. I haven't done it in a while.
Tidbit.
It has been a while.
This is post my Bobcat attack. So I have ditched shoulder straps by this point. So I've got my gun in one hand trying to get up this mountain back
Could
up.
have used the brute.
Yeah, could have used the brute. So that was just a little fun fact on the side there.
Another little side story. About 100 yards into our first walk, like to the original setup, Nick stops and he takes his boot off. I'm like, what the hell are you doing? And he's like,
Wanna
I have
get
a
grounded.
blister on my heel. And I'm like, that sucks. And he pulls his sock down, and it's bleeding. It's like,
it's not like it's red. It's just bleeding.
yeah,
like it's-
like the big flap of skin hanging off. And
Nice.
I'm like, I don't know what to tell you, buddy, but
We're still going.
What I ended up doing was rolling my sock, because I had like knee high socks on, and I just rolled them down to like get like a 2-inch wide, like thick piece of
Yeah.
sock, and tucked that on the back of my heel for padding, and finished out the hunt that way.
The
But I mean,
12 miles.
oh, it was ridiculous. I mean, my foot was screwed.
Well, it's a good thing Tom fell and got your adrenaline up, because I'm sure you didn't feel it anymore after that.
I forgot about it for quite a while, actually.
we haven't hunted this property since.
Really?
Yeah.
We have not been back.
Yeah.
Kind of left a bad taste in my mouth.
Yeah.
But honestly, not really sure if I believe that.
I don't know.
Well, you were there, so.
To be
tough
frank, do
call.
you believe it?
I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm not sure.
could be true. Could be a lie.
Yeah.
That's for you to decide.
You could have been lying too.
Hell, so could have you.
I could have been lying.
They all could be lies. Just
Yeah.
kidding.
They're
There's
not
only
all
one
lies.
lie.
Yeah, and it's up to you guys to figure it out. So
Yeah, pretty much like I said earlier. It'll be in the post, but Monday, when we release the post about the podcast, share it up, tag 3 of your buddies in it, and then you're going to DM us on Facebook or Instagram and give us who you think was telling the BS story here. If you're right, your name goes into a hat, and you just might win a t-shirt. So
exciting stuff.
that's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
So, and I mean, while you're at it, tell us some of your crazy stories that have happened out,
Yeah, please
out in the
do.
woods.
Maybe next time we'll have 3 truths and a lie.
Yeah, exactly. We're just gonna keep adding. You know, could be a few more lies. I don't know.
Yeah.
But tell us your stories, and obviously you're gonna get more stories if you get outside.